You ready?
I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Our mission. Helping Parents Heal is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents to become shining light parents by providing support and resources to aid in the healing process. We go a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non dogmatic way. Affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non religious background. Attendance today at this meeting is voluntary, and we are here for the benefit of learning from and sharing with other parents whose child has passed away. It is understood that our discussions are intended to be confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. However, these Zoom meetings are helpful to parents all around the world, and they are posted on YouTube so that affiliate members who are not able to attend this meeting live can also watch. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers to allow parents to be informed about many possible ways to heal, to connect with their children, and to learn about the afterlife. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of Helping Parents Heal, and we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much, Gordon, for being here.
Thank
It's
you.
my
Yes,
absolute pleasure.
we are so grateful to have Gordon Smith here. And for those of you who are unaware, and probably none of you are, since he's already spoken to our group in the past, he's an international medium, a public figure, and an author. He's hailed by the UK's media as Britain's most accurate medium. There is no doubt that Gordon Smith is the real deal. Gordon has been the subject of 7 years of testing at Glasgow University by Emeritus Professor Archie Roy, head of the Scottish Society of Psychical Research, whose finds were published in 3 scientific journals. Internationally recognized as one of the world's leading psychic mediums, spiritual teachers, and author of over 20 books that have sold over 1 million copies in many different languages, earning him the reputation of being an authentic, all-round expert in spiritual awareness and psychic studies. Gordon developed his outstanding natural ability under the tutelage of some of the most sought-after mediums, including the legendary Albert Best, who is widely acknowledged as one of the best mediums of the 20th century. Gordon's reputation of being accurate and authentic has meant that he is constantly in demand, presenting as well as featuring in numerous television documentaries and shows about the paranormal for broadcasters such as the BBC, ITV, Sky, Living, and BioChannel. Developing his own self-awareness training programs has allowed Gordon to travel the world many times, demonstrating his mediumship and teaching international students. These teachings have been converted into highly successful online courses, which attract thousands of students from around the globe who are as much attracted to his charismatic nature, which as to the sense of healing and restoring balance that he brings to their life. Please visit his website at www.gordonsmithmedium.com. And without further ado, please join me in welcoming Gordon Smith.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. That was lovely. I don't know if I'm worthy of that spectacular introduction, but it gives me great pleasure once again to join you guys and to share some of my work with you. And tonight I'm joined with my host and friend Jackie from the UK with me, and she will be sharing some slides with us later as we go. But tonight, really and truly, tonight is about healing. But I say that because as a medium, I like to enlighten people to the fact that the practice of mediumship really is a practice of healing. So when you're doing mediumship for real, when it's something that you know it's authentic, and when you've gone beyond believing in it, when it becomes a knowledge, you realize why you do it. Why do I do this? And you do it because it helps people. And you do it because the spirit want to do it. It's not us. As a medium, I can switch off and go on with my life. But it's our loved ones who want to come back and tell us, I haven't died. They want to come back and share things with us. and show us that I'm still a part of your life. I can never actually die. And the news that we should welcome from that statement, that we can't die, or that we can't actually die for the life of us, that tells us that it's okay. Death is a natural part of living. And if we can understand that death is a change, but it's not the end of something, it's a change. Now, if we can learn to live a life without fearing death, we can actually then to learn to live a life without fear of life and living. And that's something I hope I can try to convey to you this evening. Because I love to walk down memory lane, because I have a lovely past full of incredible meetings with the spirit world, and had the pleasure and privilege to heal or help people heal themselves on many, many occasions. And I think as a young medium, I started out not really knowing what my purpose was. I knew I could do this thing, but I really didn't know what it was. I thought, why do we do this? And even as a young man in my 20s, many people would turn up and they would say things like, this young man's astounding, or I had no idea why I was astounding or seemed to be special or different. I just did things and it felt very spontaneous. If I'm really honest, I didn't even feel that it belonged to me, the gift, because I thought, well, I don't know any of this. It just comes out of my mouth. And I had no idea that that really is where you try to get to as a medium, that you don't think it, you do it. And I thought, wow, this is something that just seems to occur. But part of the training that I did wasn't to develop my mediumship, it was to develop me. I was only young and I had not the training in life really to truly counsel or comfort those who were grieving who would sit in front of me. But luckily I gave them enough probably evidence that made them go away with some wonder in their mind. And that in itself was a reward, that knowing that you were helping people. But I wanted to know more about this. I really wanted to be more of a comfort to people. And I think one of the earliest events that I ever got to take part in that showed me the value of healing in mediumship was to a beautiful place in North Italy called Casa dell'Albero. And it was a lady there who ran a group, quite like your own group. And it was for parents who had lost their children. And I'm going back to the late 1980s here, 1990s. And again, as a young guy, I went out there and we would, have all these families come in. And there's several mediums, myself being one of them. And people would just sit there in front of you and they just looked lost and broken. And you don't need to be a great sensitive to feel grief when it's raw, when the people themselves, their lives feel like it's been cut off. And you almost see that sense of kind of disconnection in the parents. And I'm talking to the converted here, you all know this, where you just, there's almost a delay in your mind because you're not really present in your own life because of the news of a death of somebody young that you've lost. And I wanted to know how to fix that. And I remember asking the spirit world, please, please, let me bring these people back to life, because some of them are as dead as the people they think they've lost. Can we make them live again? And that was what I asked the spirit world all those years ago. And I remember sitting in this place and here was a man and woman came in. Quite often couples would come when they'd lost their kid. And I remember sitting there this morning and the lady just looked at me. Her eyes were pleading, almost begging, please. And I had no Italian or very little Italian in those days. And she would speak to her husband in Italian and he seemed frustrated and angry and really uptight. And I learned way back then to sense. It's a strange thing because it's not part of my mediumship, but I learned to sense how people died or the loss that had been incurred because of the way they behaved and because of the emotion that they brought into the room. And normally when you would feel great anger like that, that child had been taken from them really quickly. And in this case, I actually felt that this child, a girl, had been murdered. And I didn't feel that from the spirit. I didn't get any feeling at all at that moment from the spirit. I got it from the father. And that man was so angry, he wanted to kill whoever killed his daughter. And you can understand that. There's no judgment of any of that kind of feeling. I just sat there and thought, oh my God, this is what I feel. And then I thought, I'm only feeling a glimpse of this, a touch of it. What must it be like to carry that? And that made me want to help them so much. And I almost, because I disassociate from mediumship when I'm doing it. I disassociate from the emotion of the person. Once I felt it, I'm out of it because I can't be in it. As a medium, I am an emotional lifeguard. I don't go into the emotional sea with people. I pull them out of it. And that's how I would put it or phrase it. And here I just thought I need to get out of this and I've got to bring them out of that anger. That man is carrying a stone inside his stomach that is so heavy, and it's not his fault. It's horrible. And I remember my mouth opened and I just said, Michela is here. Well, because they're Italian, they have no boundary on emotion. The mother screamed at me, Michela, the father, and the two of them started to hug me. I've never had this in my life. And they were just jumping me up and down. And this was the first seconds of the reading. I thought, oh my God, this is going to be some reading. But the beautiful thing that I noticed as we came through it, they were both leaning on the edge of their seats. They were so close to me. Their legs were touching my legs, and they just wanted to be in the energy. And I remember feeling this as the daughter became more apparent and Michaela's personality started to build and she was there with us. I wasn't relaying messages from her. I was letting them be in Michaela's energy for a moment. I don't know how I did that, but it did happen. And there was this incredible moment, just a moment, where I remember my hand reaching out towards the father's chest and she said, Papa, let it go. And as the words came out, and then I said it in Italian, which I knew I couldn't say, so I knew it wasn't me. I thought, oh. And as it was said the second time, the man broke and he cried. And he dissolved, literally. We watched this black stone inside him crumble. And in my head, I heard a word saying, the stone is broken. And that man just dissolved. And his wife held him. It was a moment to be a part of a moment like that, though the situation is sad initially, but to see the rejoicing of that family. I mean, that man did not want me to go away. He said, can I buy you a car? I said, does you need to stop giving me gifts, offering gifts? But to some people, that's everything. And in my life, I've worked with lots of mediums who say, I get really scared before I do messages for people. And I'll say, don't. Remind yourself that what you have is a gift. It's not there to be judged or scrutinized. It's there to be shared with somebody who needs it. So if it was £1 million you were sharing with people who needed money, you would feel good about it, feel equally as good about sharing your gift of mediumship with people because it's healing. The wonderful place of Casa dell'Albero in northern Italy, for 3 years I served there on and off, and I saw many parents and many children in the spirit world. And I became friendly with lots of them. Sometimes they would come back or they would send another member of the family and I'd think, oh, you're Luigi's sister. Because I would feel his presence very quickly. The lovely thing here was we ended up, the group of mediums that I worked with, helping families come back together. Because I'm sure a lot of you have felt the tension after the death of a kid in a family that can tear couples apart. It can distance people and families just because of the emotions that are connected with it. And maybe sometimes the emotions that never got spoken about during illnesses and things like that. And then on death, people pull away from each other sometimes rather than support. So our act of mediumship or healing really was to bring back that essence of spirit so that the parents could actually know what their children wanted at that point and actually hear it from them. I'd love that you two stay together. The amount of messages like that came through over the years were incredible and really helped because that's when a family does need everybody. It's when they need to support, and it's okay for one to go down if the others are strong. And these would be the things I learned from the spirit world when they came through, passing these messages of hope and healing, and even celebrating the fact that they hadn't died and the fact that they now knew they could be heard in this world. Because again, if you think about it, when you've had the loss of your loved one, especially a child, as a parent, most people, the initial reaction is to feel, I could have done something better, should have known that. We can't always know things, but I think parents tend to beat themselves up because I could have done something, coulda, shoulda, woulda, sort of thing, and that only hurts you. And it's the children in the spirit world when they come back that actually tell their parents, don't do that. When we can actually take away the despair that sits around a parent, then we can open up their mind so that they can possibly communicate with their own loved ones. It's always been in my understanding that when people immediately or feel the grief suddenly, that there's almost a density to their own aura. And this is why they say, I can't see my child now, I can't hear them. And it's not that you will never, it's because sometimes the suddenness of grief when it hits you, it brings you right in so that you feel your humanness. You feel completely human and disconnected from anything spiritual. And this is the part where the mediumship or the healing of the mediumship allows you to start to feel and reach out again and get you out so that you can actually sense your loved ones yourself. It's wonderful that a medium can give you evidence, but that's just the start, guys. That's us opening the door for you. After that, then it's your job to work with that and to reach out to your family yourself. But you need to be shown how to do that. And a lot of mediums maybe don't do that so much. I always love to do that with people. I love to take them through a session of how we can do that. Because people, that's the one thing people say, why can't I hear my daughter? Why do you hear her? And I'll say, because I'm not in that in-between place that you are at the moment with your grief. I'm void of that right now. So I can actually send out my aura, if you like, into a higher frequency where your daughter can communicate with me. And that's where I can relate. So right at this moment, I'm just your radio station and I'm going to a higher frequency than you. That's all it is. But I can teach you how to do it too. And again, you have to be really nurturing and caring when you're working with people, especially parents, because it's such an important thing for them. And if they don't hear what they want to hear or see what they want to see or feel what they want to feel in the first go, they might become despondent and even self-deprecating. It's my fault. It's my, no. We must take all of this stuff away. And we must teach people how they can actually prepare their own mind to allow the spirit to touch them again and to still be part of their life. Once again, several years ago, and it wasn't in Italy this time, I happened to be at a demonstration, a public demonstration of mediumship in somewhere just outside London. And during the demonstration, I spoke to an Indian lady in the audience with her husband, and their little boy came through with a message for his parents. And it seemed quite astounding, the things that he was saying to them, and they were accepting all of the stuff. But there was something in my heart just moved with this message. And I said to the lady, I'm going to stop doing this in public if you don't mind. And she looked at me and I said, I'm going to speak to you when we're finished this demonstration in private. You don't mind that? And she said, no, not at all. And the nature of the message was too personal. And I didn't feel that we had to air all of her stuff in public. And I just felt, no, your boy wants this done in private. So at the end of that particular session, we found a little room at the back of the hall, and I sat with a man and woman, and their boy came through, and he was the third child that they had. And again, a very sad death. The boy had taken something that was actually toxic. He didn't mean to do it, but he potentially took his own life, though not trying to. And again, the parents were devastated. There was all sorts of reasons and things why I didn't want this to be in public, which I still won't tell all the story of it. But the mother had said, you know, it was such a terrible thing to lose one of your children. in such a ridiculous, accidental way. And she said, I couldn't find him in my mind. I couldn't find him. Even when I looked at photographs, I still couldn't. Where's his life? She kept looking for his life. Where is my son's life? It's not in these photographs. And during that particular reading, I had said to Lady, I'm going to actually do something for you if you don't mind. If you and your husband want to sit with me, I'm going to create a healing energy. And I want you to sit in it with me, guys. And when they did, the man had tears running down his face. He never spoke, but his tears came at a point, and I felt his wife sort of quiver. And she took in a kind of deep intake of breath for a moment. And she said, in a whisper, he's here. And I thought, wow. Now, I didn't orchestrate that. It was spontaneous. And it was the spirit world that wanted her to feel her son again. She needed to feel him. So sometime later, I was at a demonstration, and at the end, the lady came up and she said, Gordon, you know, I run a beauty salon thing. If you ever need a haircut, actually, I could be doing with her now. But she said, if you ever need anything, or, you know, massage, we do all this stuff, please come. We'd love to do something for you. And I said, not at all, love. I said, it's just a pleasure that you look brighter, you look lighter. You actually look like there's a lightness around you. And she said, there is, Gordon. She said, do you know how I know I've crossed the line now? I said, how? She said, I've gone back to work, she says, and there was a new woman working in my place of work. And she said, so do you have children? And she says, I do. I have 3, 1 in heaven. And I just thought, oh, what a beautiful way to look at it. She says, but I talk to them all every day. And she says, now I know how to. So I thought, what a lovely way to introduce that lady to the spirit of her son. Because some people don't know that that's what happens, that when the spirit leaves the physical body, it seems like it's too far away for some people. So for me, I have to find this lovely in-between state that I can get people to go into and to practice it regularly. And that's where we can open a door to the other side. That's where we can truly go into that thin place where 2 worlds meet. And that's the act of mediumship that I've learned to do for other people and myself. I don't do it deliberately to get messages, but I sometimes can't help it while I'm in that state. I think, oh my goodness, somebody just turned up. And I just welcome them into my energy, and just, you know, it's lovely to share that moment. This, I hope I can do for you guys tonight, as well as other things, maybe be able to answer some of your questions and things. But I hope you understand that the mediumship done correctly is about healing. It's not a magical thing. It's not a mystical thing. It's not an occult thing. It's a loving thing. And it comes from that place of compassion. That's mediumship. It's a gift from the spirit world for us not to despair, not to lose hope, not to lose sight of the life that we're in. Because I've often tried to say to people when they talk about life after death, most people point their mind towards the other side, to those who have crossed over. No, life after death equally affects those left behind after a death. And it's equally important for a medium to help that aspect of life after death. So if I can give people tools, not just messages, if I can give them tools to work with, to get them back into life, to get them really functioning again, it's almost like jump starting their aura. That's the way I would look at it. It's like putting the light back into your life so that you can continue, but in a way that you actually take back some of the narrative. A lot of people feel so helpless when they've had a loss. And again, with the right tools of mediumship that you can work with, it might empower you enough that you feel, wow, I can do something about this instead of feeling redundant. I can work with this and I can do this myself. That to me, guys, is valuable for all of you, I would say. So what I want to do tonight is a little exercise that I do with all my students. And it really is about sitting in your own energy and trying to build the power of your energy And you'll see here, Jackie's just shared with us, and it's just one of my healing tools that I do. But it's more than about that. It's about you getting your energy. I mean, this is just a Shutterstock photo that you're looking at here. But if you look at the idea, the image that has an expansion around it and a light in the center. Now that's the light that is your light body, your aura, your Kala chakra. There's so many different terms for this. But what it is your life force. Now your life force grows dim when we are deeply hurt in an emotional way, when we've had a loss of someone we love. Our light grows dim and it goes deep, heavy within us, a bit like the Italian father I told you about, where he had this terrible, terrible, heavy weight inside him. So the one thing we must learn to do is how to lighten that and how to get around the body. Don't let the body pull you down. Go into the light body and start to expand. And I'm going to do really a simple meditation, something that everybody can do, even if you're not a meditator. This really is easy. It can be done for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. As you get good at it, you can sit longer in the positions and you can practice it as often as you like. But what it is, it's the expansion of our aura that allows the mind to go into a lighter state of self. And it's when it's in that lighter state, the frequency changes. Now, this is where you'll start to feel, some of you will feel a vibration around you. That's normal because you're feeling your aura, almost the vitality of it. You start to feel it pulsing. And some of you may feel, oh, is that my heart that's racing? It's not, it's your aura. And you start to feel this movement or vibration. And all it is your mind changing frequency from physical to non-physical. And that, my friends, is where our spirit loved ones can come into that space because we are lightening and going to a higher frequency. Some of you might not achieve that heightened state or sense of vibration or frequency change in one go, but at least if I take you through it and give you the tool, then it's something that you can work with in days where you feel, do you know what, I'm feeling heavy. No, let's lighten the mood. Let's change our mind and see where it takes us. Now, the whole idea of this is just to relax. And at any given moment, you can open your eyes and just say, oh, that's enough for me, or that's too much. But it is just a simple meditation. And with all meditation, if we can find ourselves sitting in a comfortable position with our back as straight as our body will allow, and this we do only for circulation and things. A lot of people get themselves all wrapped up and twisted when they try to do meditations because they think it looks cool, or they think that they're actually doing something kind of esoteric. And in actual fact, all the reason people sit in lotus positions is actually to ground themselves. And that's why you would sit in a lotus position. But if you're sitting on a chair and your feet are flat on the floor and your back is quite straight, you're grounded. And that's why we sit like that. So we get ourselves grounded. And just relax your shoulders. Let your hands rest easy on your lap. And all meditation begins with breathing. And we measure our breath at the beginning. We take slow, deep breaths to the bottom of our lung. Feel your chest expanding as you breathe in, right to the end of your breath. And just exhale slowly and deliberately. And I want you to breathe like this for a moment, just following the length of your breath. Feeling your chest rising as you breathe in. And let it fall as you exhale. And this is the first natural rhythm of your being, is the rhythm of your chest rising and falling because of the breath moving in and out of the body. And the whole purpose behind this pace of breathing is to allow your body to relax, to let the physical you become contented. And maybe even just tell yourself to relax as you're breathing in. And just say release as you exhale and let the air leave your body. And very soon you will find that your breathing will find its own natural pace, where you don't need to try anymore. And just take a moment to enjoy the sense of relaxation in the physical body. And once we relax the physical, then we relax our mind. And we do this by telling ourselves that in this moment there is absolutely nothing to accomplish. So any thoughts that come into your mind, just let them pass through. We can't always stop thinking, but we don't always need to pay attention to our thoughts. Just let them roll through your mind, just like clouds in a big empty sky. Any outside noises or distractions, we can't change them, so we just allow it to occur without it being in our space. Just let go. And as we relax the mind and body, we allow our own light body to expand out into the atmosphere around us. Just recognize and try to feel the atmosphere outside your body. This is where we let our own inner light expand, shine in all directions. And just try to feel how light your being feels when it moves into this atmospheric state. This is really what we call light-minded. And sit for a moment in that state of light. And this is where we can truly welcome those loved ones who have crossed over into that sacred space of ours. Just sit and try to feel any change of your energy in the next few moments as you sit in the silence of your mind with an extended welcome to those in the spirit who love you, so that you might just sense a presence or feel a touch. but enjoy the peace and serenity of this moment. Okay, I want you to just start to breathe a little deeper, bringing more oxygen back into your body. And you'll recognize how soft your breathing had become. Start to take slow, deep breaths into the body. We thank the spirit world for being around us. For those of you who could feel the presence, just thank them and allow them to step out of your energy field. as you breathe more frequently, more regularly. With each breath, you'll start to feel yourself becoming more aware, more awake. Nice deep breaths until you feel ready to just move your body, grounding yourself once again until you can open your eyes. Super. Nice. Now, a nice little way, I just did that for 15 minutes there. You can sit longer if you like than that. But to begin with, if I don't know the length of time people have ever meditated for, then I always think it's good to start like that. It doesn't feel like 15 minutes when you sit in that meditation. And for any of you who felt that it didn't seem like 15 minutes, you were doing it correctly, because that's what happens when you start to go into this almost no time. Means that you are not concerned about time, and that means that your mind is going into the right space. The amount of people I've taught just to start doing a regular little meditation like that, nothing too serious, nothing over the top, just get your head into a good space. And we use that word space. Think about it. I'm telling people to go out into the atmosphere around themselves, because that's where the spirit world are. So as a medium, the messages come in from there. They're not inside me. Spirit are never inside our body. I keep telling people there can only ever be one spirit in any body at any one time, except for when a woman's pregnant. That's the only other time it will change. But there's only one spirit to each body, guys. But our spirit has to expand. It has to lighten and change frequency for the spirit world to be able to communicate with us. So for a lot of you who would have questions by saying, why do I never get the sense of my loved one? It's not that they're not giving you that sense. It's just because you need to be attuned to it. And if nobody tells you how to do that, then that's going to be very difficult for you. But that simple little exercise to practice when you're feeling low, you're feeling down, take yourself into the quiet of your own mind and expand out and just ask, is there anybody there for me? And it would be nice to hear if some of you did actually feel any presence, because a lot of people assume that because they ask a question one way to their son, it would be like, or me saying to my father, are you there? Can you tell me this, that? If you haven't been clairaudient all your life, you're not going to hear that. So you're asking things to be said to you in ways that you don't know how to receive it. So the spirit world then go looking for other ways to get your attention. And, you know, that one woman who came to me, I said to her, your son's here. His name was John. And sadly, John had killed himself. He'd thrown himself off a bridge. And the lady blamed herself totally because her son was gay and he couldn't handle it. And she said, I should have known. And I said, but even if you didn't do this. I said, you really, you've had the loss of a son. Do you need to destroy yourself in the process? He wants to love you. I says, and incidentally, John's just told me you keep finding feathers. This happens to a lot of people. And his mother said, it's ridiculous though, how many feathers. And where I find them, they're all over the place. And I said, well, sometimes they'll do things just to get your attention. I said, can I ask you, when you find these feathers, do you know what's going through your mind? Or, you know, do you have any awareness of this? And she says, normally, she says, it's when I'm depressed or I'm crying or I'm feeling down. And I said, well, then that's John's way of saying, Mom, I'm here. And she said, do you know, I've actually got a bag. I keep them, a huge bag. She says, it's like a quilt. I've got so many feathers. And I said, well, these feathers got to come from somewhere, lady. I said, so somewhere there are some swans going around that are bald right now. And she just laughed at me. And it was the first time she laughed during that session. And she felt lighter herself. But what I was trying to say to her is, though you ask a million questions of your son and you think he's not answering you, he is. So if you can't hear the sound of his voice because you're not clairaudient, try and find him in the way he can get to you. And this is why I'll say to people to sit in that little meditation, because what it means is you're giving the spirit the chance to reveal something to you. Now, some of you may feel something, go, there was just a sense of somebody there. Some of you may get tingles or tickles across your face, or just a sense of heat somewhere or cold. These are all little ways that you can build up a communication with spirit. If you think of the original communication in spiritualism, which happened in the US back in 1848, when the two little girls, Margaret and Catherine Fox, asked that question, is there anybody there? And they heard knocking. And that was the first form of spirit demonstration, was knocking in this little house in Connecticut or New York State. And that became a form of communication. And they would say, well, you know, knock once for yes, two for no. And they would ask, are you male? Knock. Yes, it's a male in the spirit world. And they would build up a language. But spirit can't answer things for us unless we can find that way of communicating with them. So you look for your way. You know, one lady said to me, every time I think of my daughter who died, I get a sense that she's touching my head, just a light touch on my head. Could that be her? I says, well, why don't you ask her, is that you? And the next thing she said, oh, I felt it. I said, then take that as a yes. And that became her code, her calling card from her daughter. So look for your calling card from your kids, from your loved ones. Look for whatever that is, because that's, you're giving them the opportunity to try and find a new way to communicate with you. And it's a wonderful thing when it works, because you just all of a sudden now feel, wow, I'm back in communication with my kid. Now, something I did want to share with you guys, just because you can find this on the internet, and therefore it might be something you may be interested in, was, some of you will know it already probably, but there was an English medium called Leslie Flint from early 40s, 50s. He was young, he was born in the 20s, I think, but around about the 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s. Leslie Flint had a type of mediumship that was called independent direct voice mediumship. And this meant that the medium didn't talk, the voices came from around him. And for a while, I became interested in the Leslie Flint Foundation. And a lot of these recordings are online now on the internet. And but I was more interested in one woman who had gone there for 10 years. Leslie used to set up groups for parents. And so maybe one month this particular group of parents would go, and then the next month another group of parents. And a lady I became fond of, she would attend once a month, and when she could, and her son would come through, David. And it's an interesting thing, and I think it's worth telling you, because when David first came through, and I listened to 10 years of David's communication to his mother. And this was David's voice just talking in the atmosphere around the medium's head. And when he started, he would say, Mother, I've met grandfather and grandmama, and we are all here, and it feels like we're in, you know, like almost like a family. There was almost a kind of description of our life as it is now, only a kind of lighter version of it. That's what it felt like for David when he initially passed. And he would describe, the mother would ask him, David, darling, what do you do all day? And he said, well, we don't actually have a day, Mother. We don't actually have time. He says, so there's no elapsing of anything. It's just moment to moment, only when we are called to be connected here at this seance or whatever. And he said, but other than that, there's a kind of non-time. Now, as I listened through these cassette tapes, as they were then, and David, I would notice maybe 3 years on, and David wasn't talking about his grandmother, grandfather. David was talking about his expansion. And he'd say, I don't know how it's happening, but I seem to know a lot more than I ever knew before. And he would say, and when we come in contact with another spirit being that we are drawn to, we assimilate each other's knowledge within no time, just we all of a sudden know it. And he said, now this is interesting. He said, because in human form, we wear many masks. In spirit, we reveal everything. And that makes us grow, because when we reveal everything, so do the other spirit people who are drawn into our particular group or our particular level of spirit. And it was the most fascinating thing. And it was 1991 was the last tape. And I was listening to this. And I'd gone through David's 10 years of communicating in the spirit world. And all of a sudden I realized David was no longer in any way physical or had any association with being physical. And he said, Mother, I have a vehicle of sorts, but not one I can describe to you. I don't have any words to describe my vehicle as it is now. He said, but what I am right now, he says, is interconnected with all life. And he said, but you will always be my mother. He says, and it's almost like this cord of light that when you think of me, I'm there and I'm David, full of all our love and connection together. And that can never break. That will always be. And I thought this was one of the most beautiful things that a son in spirit could tell his mother. Our love will never end. No matter how I grow, no matter how I expand, our love cannot die. Love is the one thing that transcends death more than anything else. And that lady, she was so overwhelmed when she heard the message directly. But what was even more fascinating, as David signed off that day, and he said, Mother, this will be the last time I communicate with you through this medium. Don't think I'm gone. I just won't be communicating through this medium. And she wondered, oh God, what was that about? Next week, Leslie Flint died. He went to the spirit world himself. So though they did not say that, they knew he was coming over. And they found other ways to then communicate and whatnot. But the spirit world were already preparing for Leslie coming over. And that would have been a beautiful transition for him because he'd helped so many parents and people who had lost their loved ones. But it's a lovely message that even as your children grow in the spirit world, and when I say grow, I mean expand, their consciousness becomes higher, clearer, and more beautiful. And they grow because you grow. That is the other thing that David taught in that beautiful lecture that he gave. He says, as you grow, mother, I grow with you. He says, so every time you turn a corner in your grief, I expand even further because you understand me more and because I can send all this love to you through these mediums and different things. It was the most incredible thing to listen to, guys. And if you ever can find it, the boy's name was David Katanak. So in the Leslie Flint things, there's a lot of famous things like Gandhi comes to talk, Winston Churchill. It's all fine and well, but I'm talking about real messages. You know, you can read a book by Gandhi or stuff that Churchill wrote. This was a young guy who was 18 and got killed. And this was him 10 years. He spoke to his mother through this medium. And it's the progression of that soul that I wanted to share with you guys. So if you ever find David Katanak on the Leslie Flint thing, listen to that address he gives where he tells his mother that he has grown so much, but that they can never be disconnected. That link, once it's made, never breaks. So love never dies. Love is forever. And that's the thing that David wanted to share with everybody in that. And I just thought it was worth sharing it with you guys tonight. So I think I've spoken enough of these things. So I'm going to ask Mark if anybody has any questions that they want to throw at me or whatever. I'm more than happy to field anything. Mark.
Sure thing, Gordon. Thanks. That was very touching. I'd also let people know if you do Google Leslie Flint and you wanted to look that up, don't rely on Wikipedia because it's not a good source.
No, the Leslie Flint Foundation, I think, might still be available.
Yeah. So we have some comments and some questions. So one,
you go for it, Mark.
Jennifer wanted to know during the meditation, is it normal to feel like you went to sleep?
Yeah, well, when you normal is not a word that comes into my vocabulary. So yes, whatever happens to you, that's your process. It's how it's working with you. So for some people, you will, meditations, when you've not done it a lot, sometimes people find it hard to stay awake during it because your own mind is tired. But the object of meditation is to stay semi-conscious so that you have an ear, if you like, in both worlds, or your auras in both worlds. So you may feel something from the spirit world, but you're still very connected to this room. Some people go deeper, almost like a very altered state of consciousness. But if that happens, then you're not going to be able to bring back any information from it. That would be like being in a heavy sleep. You won't remember your dreams, kind of thing. And this would be much the same. So the thing to do is to practice it for a shorter time. If you find you fall asleep doing it, sit for 5 minutes so that you know that you've actually been awake through that, and then build it up, build it up, build it up slowly. That's what I would do.
Yeah,
Cool.
Edgar Gomez said his hands were vibrating during the process.
Vibration is
Actually
good. Yeah.
felt chills and hear a high-pitched sound, like a background universe sound.
Well, now that is actually, the term for that is etheric noise. So you're hearing the ether. So, well, and again, try and think how I comment on, say, picking up information as a sensitive. So as a sensitive, Mark, I would, if I'm sort of reading for you as a psychic or a sensitive, and I'm reading your life, so I'm tuned to that wave band, that frequency. This is just between me and you. But when I then ask, is you know, is your father in spirit or something, and who's here? And then I go up, and so, you know, that between radio stations, you hear that crackly noise. That's
Right.
etheric noise, the white noise stuff. So that's it. So you're just tuning to a new frequency. So mediumship works at, if you like, FM radio. Psychic works at AM, you know, near band stuff, higher band. So if you look at it like that, it's a really easy way to look at it. So hearing the etheric noise is something, yeah, that tells you you're going atmospheric. That's good. Vibrating hands, love it.
Amy said, I heard my daughter say, "Hi, Mama." Then my mind heard the Rolling Stones and Jumping Jack Flash. I was like, no, go away, LOL.
But that, again, fantastic. Now, the thing there, Amy, when you do hear that, be as natural as you can. Respond the way you would to her when she was here. And do you know why? Because you're acknowledging her presence. And spirit love when we acknowledge them. So when you hear it, just say it as natural as you would to her. And you'll start to build up that really lovely connection, Amy. You really will. And it's funny, even as we're talking here, I feel as though she's doing this. I don't know what she's doing here in my hair, but she's just said, "Tell my mum I'm doing this for her," and she'll know what it means. I don't know what that is, but that's what she's doing for you, Amy. Okay, and you're laughing because she says, "Yeah, get this. Look what I'm doing." So I don't know what it's about, but you know what it's about. And so anyway, she was there. Oh, incidentally, is somebody from New York State? We've got somebody shouting, John, but I'm in New York State. I'm not supposed to be doing a demonstration. I wish they would stop this for me, but they sometimes do this, guys. Who's John? But I want to be in Connecticut or New York or Upper New York thingy. Somebody understand that? Because I've got a young voice here shouting in my ear, and I think John's on our thing. Do we have a John?
There's a John Manning. Let me unmute him.
Yes. Would you be in Connecticut by any chance?
I am, sir. Yes.
Hi there. John, do you know anything about New York State or Connecticut?
I live in Connecticut.
Oh, well, then it's you. Oh, yeah, well, there you are. Thank goodness for that. No, when we were sitting there, I just heard this young voice. I actually heard more than one. And somebody just shouted, John. And then I was talking about New York State earlier with the Fox sisters, where they started spiritualism. But I just had this lovely feeling of a young guy coming in and just shouting, "Tell John I'm here," and I was with him yesterday. So I don't know what you had to do that was important yesterday, but he says, "I was there with you." And just to say that you know what it is, because I was standing with you, and he says, "I don't know if you're trying to change your car." He just said something about, "Oh, not the car, not the automobile." So there's somebody around you who's trying to change their car, or they're going to, and he's laughing and saying, "No, don't tell them not to." And I think he's just having fun about it. It's not a serious thing, but you will know what it is because it's something to do with a vehicle. He's saying, "I want them to keep it." But anyway, just to let you know, he's there, and he says, "Please say I know about the birthday, happy birthday." So I have to sing happy birthday just now as well. And you'll know what that means. Think about it, John. There you
Thank
go.
you. Thank
You're
you,
more
sir.
than welcome. And you know what? I've just seen here a little film, and it feels to me like your boy, as if somebody a video, and he's saying about watching the video again. So it's time to watch the video again. So whatever that means to you, John. Okay. But
Thank
please
you.
take his love, take his love. He says, and oh my God, I've got all this seafood in front of me now. All of a sudden, I've got shrimps on a barbecue and all sorts of things going on here. And I don't know who loves to cook shrimps or these kind of crustaceans, seafood stuff. but he's laughing at this. So wherever you were doing that, because I feel as though it's on a barbecue, and he says, I've been watching, okay? I've been watching. And John, I don't know why the boys just gave me a vision of a horse. He's just put a horse in front of me. That would make sense.
Yeah, he
Good
rode
man.
horse.
Well,
You
that
know-
was just put it up there, and he says, and oh God, I am not going to sing, but I'm hearing Whitney Houston singing "I Will Always Love You." That's that ballad, and I'm singing it. Will always love
Whitney
you.
Houston, yeah.
Da-da-da. That song's important to him, and there's actually he must have also liked hip hop music because I'm hearing different hip hop stuff in the background, and there's a lovely song by Mariah Carey. I think it's Mariah Carey. And it's, and I know I'm shining down on you from heaven, like so. I don't know why that song is on, but that song's important to him, okay? Shining down on you from heaven. And I think it's Mariah Carey. And one sweet day is the song, One Sweet Day, okay? That's just for you, he says, okay? Just give him that and tell him to be happy. So you have to be happy. And thank you for the tree. He's shouting at me now. Thank you for the tree. So there's a tree being planted for him. And he says, thank you for my tree. It will always grow beautifully. So take his love, okay? Sorry, Mark. I know I'm supposed to be answering questions, but sometimes I've always got a law with spirit. When they talk in my head, I have to tell the people. So cheers.
Well, people love it. I would never stop
I know,
you.
and I would never stop it. I always make a rule with spirit. If you want me to do it, I'll do it, but I'm not going to promise people in case it doesn't work today. So if they come, then they come. But yeah, any other questions, Mark?
Yeah, there's more comments. We're actually 2 minutes after the hour. I'll see if I can get a couple real fast.
Yeah.
Lana said,
Listen, I'm not in a hurry. I'm not going anywhere. If you guys are okay, I'm happy to stay on.
He's planning on staying for longer for us. So yeah, let's go ahead and try to answer those questions if possible. And
Yeah,
okay, some of these are just comments. I'll fly through these.
sure.
Lana said, my daughter came through right away. I always hear her though. She speaks clearly to me most every day. My dad came through today too. He rarely does.
Wow.
Blanca, I talk to my son every night before I go to bed and he answers me with his own voice. Let's see what else. Sharon describing her experience said, I felt my son as my backrest and his arms were wrapped around me. And then all the sweet indications of his presence just this morning were shown to me to affirm his presence right here.
Fantastic.
Aaron, I got very emotional. Tears came. When we finished, I had goosebumps all over. There was a question earlier, and I'm just going off memory because I had to scroll too far to see it, but it was actually in regard to someone's own abilities. But she said she's able to give people messages that are able to be validated, but she can't get her own. And why is that? And that's kind of a common thing. I know some mediums get readings from other mediums for that reason.
Yeah. The common thing about it is because a lot of mediums don't believe they can get it for themselves for some strange reason. I don't know why they do that, but I think a lot of mediums feel that they serve others, but when it comes to self, they almost feel selfish in doing it, and they mustn't do that because you equally are a sentient being and you also need messages. If you can do it for other people, sit in the power like that we just did and say, okay, this is my time now. It's absolutely fine to do that, guys. And your loved ones will welcome the fact that you open up a space to meet them. It's really, really nice to do that. Really nice. And so don't be afraid to get your own messages. Go for it. Spirit will give them to you.
Maybe people just doubt them because if they're giving it to somebody else, they get an affirmation, but when they get it themselves, they second guess it, huh?
100%. And again, we have to communicate the right things with spirit, and we need to be taught how to communicate. So for me, I would ask the spirit world certain things, and if they can answer it and you get the answer, that's your validation. You go, wow. So, like for me, I would ask if I needed to, if it was my mother or father, and say, okay, if you really, can you show me something that's going to happen tomorrow? Because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And if I were to get a vision of that, bang, then I go, right, that's an intelligent force that knows something in the universe that I don't, and I can trust them because what they said happened. So we give the spirit, don't over test them, but give them enough to give you some evidence. They're happy to do it for you because they know if you feel, wow, that's evidence, then that's going to make your life a lot easier.
Sharon said, I went to an open market where my son was choosing a fruit for me because my stomach hurt. pretty random, but I felt him there.
Excellent.
Dawn, I saw an image of my son sitting on next to me on the couch. It was quick, also felt my hands go warm.
Lovely. Again, and here's one of the things for any of you who experience your hands going warm, because this is a very, very common phenomenon when we meditate or do any kind of spiritual stuff. So you're probably a natural healer. That's the first thing. But I took part in tests when I was in Germany doing healing practices for people. And one of the things that the scientists were saying was there's absolutely no reason whatsoever for people's body temperature to change because they're thinking about helping someone. It should not go hotter. So that is a natural phenomenon that's happening there. Because in order for your body heat to go up, you'd have to be doing aerobics or some kind of exercise. But if you're actually sitting perfectly still and your body temperature goes up and not down, that's a phenomenon. So John, who got that, that's a good thing. That means that, you know, that's a healing in your hands. And I would associate your son with healing as well. That I would associate that your son helps other people. I don't know how I know that, but I know he does. Okay. So he's a healer in the spirit world. That's what he does.
There are tons and tons of messages, basically people describing the same thing of tingling sensations or feeling
tingling
touch.
sensations. Good. That means you're feeling the aura. You're starting to feel the lightness, the light body. Fantastic. Well done, guys.
Mark, I picked up one of the questions from chat, if we can ask to Gordon, because I thought it was a really interesting question. Gordon, you spoke about the cord of light between a mother and child, or a parent and child.
Yeah.
And somebody asked the question, does that exist if the child is adopted?
Of course it exists. Of course
it was
it
a really
exists.
good question.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I don't think we can count out where we find love. And whether that love comes to us or whether that love grows from us, it's the love that's important, not the physicalities. So that's a good question, right enough, Jackie. But yeah, remember, love is the thing that is bigger than everything. It really is. And that way, yeah, the love, that's the bit that can't be broken. Once it's bonded, once you've made that bond of love, then it doesn't go away. Now, I'm going to ask a question to you guys because it happened 3 times. Jackie, did you pick up on it?
Yes, absolutely.
have-
And I almost saw you asking it to stop tonight.
I actually did say
Yes.
step back, and I don't know if any of you caught it, the clicking noises when we were meditating. Now, when Jackie will tell you, when we're doing our seminars and things like that, and it's only on Zoom, well, it's not only on Zoom, I've had it other places, but since we've been doing it on Zoom, this phenomena starts to happen. So it's a little bit like the raps that you got back in Hydesville, USA, and a click, 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 click. And I've been hearing it all my life, and it's only now it's starting to manifest in the rooms, and everybody's starting to hear it and think. And I actually did say, "Shh, be quiet," because I thought this is getting louder around my head. So now my mic has a feature that cuts out background noise. So my dogs were barking earlier, and nobody heard that, did they? No dogs, but you could hear that. And it does multiply. Sometimes it gets really loud and really noisy, and other times it's just very subtle. And it's always only when we're meditating, isn't it, Jackie? It doesn't come through
Like
any other time.
Like,
Yeah,
in fact, the
yeah,
first
because some
one I
people
asked
think
you.
some people think maybe I've got a pen and I'm clicking it. That's what it sounds
Yeah.
like. But again, I have a diffuser on this that kills background noise. So even doing that with a pen, if I get one, you probably won't hear it. If I do that. And can you hear that?
Leslie, oh, I'm sorry.
Can you hear
Do you want
that?
me to-
Not really.
No.
I'm clicking the pen. So even if it were that, you wouldn't hear it because of this. So this seems to be a feature that's weird. It's in the aura somewhere, a bit like the guy who got the ethereal noise. Same kind of idea. So sorry, Mark, carry on.
That's okay. Leslie said about halfway through this, my cat started hugging on me and trying to crawl up under my
Nice.
neck. How are pets impacted by spirit?
Well, it's the atmosphere that the cat would be reacting to. So for instance, Leslie, you are changing your atmosphere when you sit like that. So the minute you do that, then the cat will get comfortable and maybe want to go into that atmosphere with you. It will feel your expansion. So this is what would happen if I'm giving a healing. Say Jackie came to me and she said, look, I have a pain or something. Now, my healing I don't need to directly do anything. All I do is create a space around Jackie. My space, I expand my meditation, what I'm doing. And what happens is my frequency changes Jackie's frequency, and it brings it to a balance. So therefore, what she's been carrying, what she's been feeling becomes easier. Now, animals immediately come to that atmosphere because they understand atmosphere better than we do. They are almost sixth sensory beings, cats especially. Well, cats are very aloof. They know more than we do. So never argue with a cat. I mean, that would be ridiculous. So cats know everything. And it would know that that was a good space that it was being created. So think about this too, guys. If I'm standing on a stage in front of thousands of people giving messages, a part of me has to fill that room. So I need to learn how to make my aura go out so that I make people feel safe in my aura. So a good medium can keep you all safe. And you go, wow, I don't know what happened. I never got a reading, but I did feel good. Because what's happening is, if we can do it properly, we can touch the whole room. And that's what a good medium does. A good medium doesn't just give you a message, they change your energy. And that not only will your cat want to hug up on you, but maybe people in your family who have felt tensed or frightened or angry, maybe they'll sense it too and go, no, that feels okay to go towards you, and it feels okay to let go. This is what this is all about, guys. It's trying to get you to really just release a lot of the stuff that happens when you're impacted by grief. And that's become one of my things, is to become almost like a good grief counselor, trying, because people have grief in all different levels and it lasts for so long and all times and whatnot. And my job is to get in there and release it, relax it, and let you do it. I only give you permission to do it. I can't do it. You've got to do it. But I can actually give you tools to work with, and I really hope I can do that with a lot of you in the future.
Sherry
Mark,
wanted
sorry.
to thank you and let you know that her son's name is Gordon.
Oh, it must have been a lovely guy. He is a lovely guy. Excuse me, beg your pardon. He
Yeah.
is a lovely guy.
Carrie wanted to know what clairs you experience. All of them? Question mark. She's curious how you can
Well,
convert.
do you know, again, the technology, the technicalities rather of mediums today, talking about Claire this, Claire that. I think it's all Claire delusion, if I'm really, really honest. It doesn't matter. What really matters is that it happens. I mean, most of my mediumship is spontaneous, so I don't stop and really ask spirit much. I just go into a zone, and then boom, when you're in the zone, it happens. And that's what happens. So yes, I experience hearing voices now and again, much to my son's annoyance. My son will say to me, are you still hearing the voices, Papa? Shouldn't we get something done about you? So, but it does, and he genuinely does believe in what I do, and my son studied astrophysics, so it took a while for him to come round. But in actual fact, he does believe in what I do now, which is incredible to have such a scientific brainiac child and who's full of logic, but he does. And I must share with you guys how I got him, or how that worked, because I remember when he was about 18 and he just started university, and he was going out with his girlfriend, who's now his wife, and they have a kid together. And when he was 18, he came to me and he said, Papa, he speaks like that. I don't even know if he's my son. Papa, very snobbish child. And he says, that thing you do. I said, what thing I do? You know, talking to the dead. I said, you mean talking to the spirit world? Whatever. I said, if I were to ask you something, look, but in my mind, and maybe ask the spirits and them just to give you a yes or no answer, would that work without you knowing what I was asking? And I said, we could try. So he said, well, what? And I said, well, the answer is no. I said, but next time be careful. I said, she's not pregnant. And his face, his jaw dropped. And I said, that's not because I'm a medium. That's because I'm your father. I knew what you were asking, you silly boy. I said, be careful. So, and of course, I went very up in his estimation then at that point. But actually, what really made me go up in his estimation was because I had to give a lecture at Glasgow University where he was studying. And his professor of physics was the man who was doing tests on me. So it was an incredible thing when he saw me go up and give a lecture to Glasgow University. And all his mates were saying, your dad's really cool. And they were like, oh, really? So that was nice to bring my son round into that. I do waffle sometimes, guys. I must tell you that. My head bubbles into thoughts, like thought bubbles. And I say things that, and I don't know why I'm saying them, but I know I have to say them because there's somebody sitting there going, do you know, that is important to me. Or so I've learned over the years just to go with the bubbles and not always try and follow logic. So anyway, sorry, Mark, I do digress.
No problem. Shelley has an important question.
Sure.
The age that someone passed affect how they communicate. My son was very young. I feel like I let him down. I didn't protect him and I didn't save him. Will he be upset with me and therefore not communicate? Question mark.
Shelley, absolutely not. And it's nothing to do with age and things like that. Once again, when we go back to the spirit world, we can communicate. I think what would be blocking the communication, and it shouldn't, but that would be you and your doubt and your fears of the things that you think you let them down on, which you absolutely didn't. Because I actually just get the sense of a shining light. Where is Shelley? Can I talk to Shelley? Mark, can we
Let me
unmute her?
find her. Let me find
Yeah.
her.
Because a really important image just appeared in my mind there when we were talking, Shelley. So
There we go. We've got a virtual hand
yeah,
raised.
I see
Miss
Shelley. Shelley, when I was just talking, I get this gorgeous angel appear in my mind. Now, you believe in angels or you have angels, because I feel as though your boy's saying, I'm now just one of your angels. Okay? He says, so treat me as such. Stop putting yourself away from me, because I'm the one that's coming close to you. I'm not away from you. Don't take yourself away from your son either. But do you know what? When we lose somebody that young, then what we lose is pure innocence. Do you understand that? And pure
Yes, I
innocence
do.
that's as close as you'll get to anything angelic. So you had your angel in your life for a time in this world, but now he's your light. And he wants you to look at him as that. Now I'm your light, and he will guide you. So don't bring yourself down. Look up. Look up. Don't look down, because he wants you to look up. Okay. And there's something that I'm seeing here. And I'm holding it in my hands, and it's a toy of some description, just a little toy, and he's got it in his hands. And it's as though this is something that you gave to him, but there's also a picture of you, and he's really, really small in this picture. And it's just as though he's saying, see when that moment was created where this, I can see the photographs, it's close to you somewhere, but he's saying that moment of the love being connected means we can't really harm each other. We can lose each other a little bit in love, but we can never destroy that. So don't see him like that, okay? Don't look at him like that, Shelley. And it's funny because I'm seeing the angel Michael. I'm seeing Michael for some reason, and I'm not an angelologist or anything like that, but for some reason I feel this sense that you need to look for the strength of that.
Okay.
And really and truly, because he's in your heart. You know, sometimes when we lose people, they don't actually die, they just dissolve inside our heart. So that's where you'll find them. And you know why I'm noticing that? Because you keep doing this, and every time you think to your son, that's where your hand goes, straight there. And because that's where he is. So you know where he is. So don't be afraid to go in and talk to him. And please don't say things to yourself about how you let him down. You did not.
I feel like
You-
we did.
you don't. You can change that, honestly. And you will probably feel that for a while until you realize, I don't need to, because he doesn't want you to. If I can say that to you, he doesn't want you to. And
But he's not here.
he's in here, okay? And I know you want to feel the physical part of him right now, and that's the thing. But genuinely, I say this to you, over the years, how many people I've worked with, where they're at that stage where they really, really want to feel the physical, Shelley. But you will feel that physical thing the moment you realize where he is, that he's in here, that he's in your heart and in your mind. Because this is your mind. This is not just the physical heart. This is your mind. In Buddhist terms, that's where he is, right in your mind. And when we can teach you a way to go into your mind, then you can find a way to sit equally with him. And that's where you will realize that the love, do you know one of the things, and this is for everybody as well as Shelley, but actually for you, from your boy, is that see when that heartbeat stops, because you felt that heartbeat was inside you and that heartbeat are the one vibration, and you feel that heartbeat stopped. But in actual fact, Shelley, that heartbeat is still there inside you. And when you can sit, I can't make anybody do that quickly, but when you can find the space in your mind to sit in that, listen to your heartbeat and then wait for the other one, and you'll see that there's actually the rhythm there. And that will be the first sign you'll know that your boy's with you. You'll feel this sense in your heart and you'll know that he's there. It takes a long time for people to actually not, want that physical hug. People always want it, but getting the spiritual hug that you will get will at some point suffice, I promise you, and it will make you feel a whole lot better. And that day will come, and that's the day I really want you to say to me, Gordon, do you know what? I got my spiritual hug, and it was worth it. Okay? It was worth it.
Thank you.
Daniel is, somebody's saying Daniel is leaving. I don't know what to sing. Singers coming in now, but I don't think it's for you, Shelley. But take your son's love. He is very much around you, and you never let him down. Please, at some moment, recognize that you didn't. And if that's what you feel right now, nobody can change what you feel right now. But there'll be a morning you wake up, honestly, love, and you'll feel the lighter side of this. I promise you will.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mark, can we have one more question? And then what I wanted to do was do a little healing exercise just with everybody, because I think it's appropriate to
Sure,
do
one
an
last
actual.
one.
Yeah.
There are a ton, but I'll do this one because it's a little bit different. It had to do with the meditation process, and it asked
Sure.
about out-of-body experience and if that may be the goal of someone's meditation.
Out-of-body experience is the extreme version of that meditation. If you've been practicing it for years, you will eventually get a sense of being separate from yourself. And that's where we feel the different vibrations. It starts to speed up, it gets faster. The more you expand, the vibration gets quicker. Now, this would explain why some of us don't hear, see, or feel spirit in an ordinary sense, because we need to go out into our aura before we can start to pick up on the frequencies of spirit. Now, I say that, but some of you could be standing at a kitchen sink washing dishes, but your mind is in an altered state, really. That's when the spirit can get really close to you, because you are not trying, because you're actually letting go. So what the out-of-body experience is when you really can let go enough and you can go through this quickening, and it is a quickening, and then you're out. And it's at that point people learn to master whether they can move in out-of-body experiences, what they can see in out-of-body experiences. There's all different ways to do it, but that meditation would be the start. It would be the foundation of building up into more astral type meditations that go beyond it. And actually experiencing an out-of-body experience is one of the best pieces of evidence you'll get about life after death. Because when you feel yourself at a lighter level, this almost just pure light, it's an incredible experience, and it wipes away so much fear from your mind. It really is, because that's when you realize that you are a spirit in a material world, that you don't have to die to be one. And this is what I was saying, even with Shelley in that as well earlier, that there's a point when the two energies can come back together again. When we are ready to do it, when we can create that space, then that will happen for you. It really will happen for you, for all of you. But you just got to work at it. I wish I could make it dead easy, but I can't. And I don't think it's supposed to be for some bizarre reason. I think part of all of this is the working through it. And as I can only imagine what you guys have heard from different people over the years and how you've seen people come through different stages. But isn't it brilliant, Jackie, how the amount of level of support and different layer of grief and level of it that you see with this group? Incredible.
It's been an honour to share this evening with you. I can't thank you enough.
Absolute, real moving it's one of the lovely things, because it's so quick and easy to describe the bad things in life and the hard things. And I don't think people spend enough time looking at the beautiful things in life and the good things. And that goes with the good people in life. And I think a lot of that comes out of suffering. A lot of that has to come from what you've experienced. And only then can you truly share it with other people.
Gordon, I know you wanted to move on to a healing slide, but so many people are asking if you can just address suicide for a moment.
Sure.
Does it affect the connection? A lot of people are asking about it. Does it affect the connection with the spirit if they've gone over with suicide?
No. And the simple answer, no, not in the least. Because spirit are spirit, and we tend to look at things from a human point of view. and spirit don't. So how we leave this earth is how we leave this earth. And that's down to choice. And do remember, guys, a heck of a lot of things that are said about suicide come from maybe one particular religion or one particular philosophy or something like this. All I can tell you is in the many, many years that I've worked as a medium, I've never once had anybody come through who's committed suicide who found it difficult. Never once. In fact, one of the most beautiful messages I ever relayed to a mother from her son was back in the late 1980s. And the boy had taken some tablets and took his own life. And I'd said, he's with your mother in the spirit world. And the lady said, that can't be true because my mother was a good Christian and she wouldn't be in the same place as him. And I said, excuse me? I said, I don't know that about you. All I'm telling you is that they're both together. And they gave us more evidence to support it. And I said, madam, I said, was the greatest of respect to you. I said, your son took his own life with tablets, yeah? She said, yes, he did. I said, but your son had AIDS, did he not? And she looked at me. Oh, yes, he did. I said, and do you know what happened to your family? Your family were dying a social death. And your son knew he was going anyway. I said, but he ended his suffering. There's a huge difference between ending suffering and taking a life. I says, it's karmically neutral. I says, so whatever you think of him and what he did, I says, he's your boy and he loves you. And he's coming back to tell you that he's not in the purgatory that you have him in your mind. So you've got to let that go. That's not where he is. That's where you are. He's not. And quite often people put themselves into limbo or purgatory because of something that they think they've done wrong or whatever. You've got to let all this stuff go because it's what you do to yourself that's worse than what's actually happening. And from the spirit world's point of view, suicide is one way that we can all die. And it's something that potentially there, but for the grace of God, go high. A lot of you have been through the dark night of the soul with your loss, and I'm sure you could understand how easy that would be. But it's the people who walk out the other side of it. There's a reason you took another step. There's a reason why you're still here, and it's called life after death. Life after death for the parents. There is a life after death, but you just got to find that first step that allows you to feel on a safer platform. But please know that there is no suffering in the spirit world. One of the beautiful things that David Katanak spoke about in his talk on Leslie Flint thing was when he looked down at the world. He says, when I look down, Mother, he says, and I see that's the densest realm of spirit that we lived in, that he lived in, that you live in, Mum. This is a realm of spirit, but it's the hardest realm. Everything above it is easier. No matter how we get here, everything above it is easier. And it honestly is, guys, I promise you. I can't prove that to you until you get there, but all I can tell you is when you get there, you go, wow, wow. So I know when people think, oh my God, it's terrible, they're on their own. They're never on their own. And what we do is quite often our grief reflects what we're feeling inside and not what's actually happening to the spirit. So remember that. What they feel in the spirit world is pretty much the other way of looking through the binoculars. We look at it the wrong way, look at it from their point of view. The loveliest way I was shown my own death one time by spirit, because I don't really care about it, it'll come when it comes. And they showed me that my life right now is like being, you know, having been a caterpillar living in a window box. And I've gone into a cocoon. And my whole world was a window box, my Gordon Smith's life. That's as expansive as it could be. It was just a window box. But the moment I die and come out of that chrysalis, I can lift above my life and look down, and then I have no limits. What I can do beyond that is incredible. And that's what it's like to go into the spirit world, guys. It's a release, it's a freedom, it's a joy. And though you think, well, why would they be so joyful if I'm stuck here? And it's not, because they know that there's no time and you will not be stuck there, that you will all one day be together and you can't die for the life of you. So that's really what they're telling you. But don't judge suicide. You know, don't judge anything if you can help it, because you'll only hurt yourself. And it's the loveliest thing when it comes to that. Try and always look for a way to find forgiveness, even if you can't do it right away, because forgiveness is the gift you give to yourself. It's a beautiful thing. Not only that, you allow everybody else to be free. So thank you for asking that, Jackie, because that is a really important question. And it hurts so many people, and I really hope we can heal that. Cool. So what I would love to do, Mark, if you guys don't mind, just for the last 10 minutes, is to create one of the healing circles that we do. And it works beautifully on Zoom. The great thing about Zoom is you have to use your mind, and it really does work with us. And the gift of healing is a real gift because we share it with other people. And anytime you share a gift, you build up your own spiritual bank balance. Not that you're doing it for that, but you share the goodwill of your gift with other people. And what I want to do is just take us into that lovely quiet mind that we were in. And only this time, we're not focusing on just our energy for us. We're going to focus it on those in the spirit world that we love. And then we're going to channel it to those in this world who need it more than we do. So let's just take a breath and relax and get our minds into that quiet place for a moment. And I want you to just visualize right at the heart of you and your solar plexus, actually, just a ball of pure white light. And this is your electricity, your vitality, your life force. And as you take a breath into your body, I want you to feel that ball expanding and growing. And with every breath that you take, just let your light start to move out in all directions until it's surrounding your body, until you're sitting in a ball of your own pure white light. And just feel the vibration of that energy, the lightness and the luminosity. And I want you to just take a moment now to thank your loved ones in the spirit world. Just say thank you for being in my life, in this world and the next. Thank you. And try and feel the joy they have for you. Try not to get caught up in the sadness, but look at the joy they have that you are reaching out to them. It's a beautiful thing. So instead of you always asking them to come to you, this is your way of going out to them. And they are happy for that. So sit for a minute in the joy and happiness and thank your loved ones for loving you. I want you to ask them sincerely to help you, to heal you when they can. I want you to ask them to guide you if you need guidance. And ask them to remind you that you are loved. Okay, now I want you to think about somebody that you know, that you may have heard about, who needs help right now. It might be someone in your group, someone in your family, someone in your neighborhood. But take a moment and try to visualize that person being brought into this white light with you. And that they can feel the joy of spirit instead of the shadows or the darkness that they feel in their life at the moment. Try and light up their life. And I want you all to just visualize for a moment everybody sitting on this platform, surrounded in white light. And that white light becomes interconnected and totally conjoined one to the other, so that we can send out a beacon of pure light to the darkest shadows and corners of this world right now, to India, where they need so much love and help, to South Africa, to the war-torn countries. Just visualize that we are sending this en masse to those who are less fortunate than us right now. Just see that light shining and traveling to where it is needed most. And we thank the spirit world for being in our lives. We thank life itself for allowing us to know that there is a higher state of being, a higher source. And we remind ourselves that we can always share something of ours with somebody who needs it more than us. And with that, I want you to just take a breath. Just release any stresses or tensions in yourself. And I want you to just remind yourself that no matter how heavy this life becomes, how low you get, there's always somebody above you. There's always a light. We must never forget to look up when we need to. And I want you to start to take a deeper breath. And it's in breathing like this that we start to bring ourselves more awareness, more focus back in the room. I want to thank you all for doing that, because it's a beautiful thing to sit together en masse and send out a prayer of light. One thing, it does do good for other people, but it also does good for us to remind us that we're not the only ones suffering. It's a beautiful thing to know that there's other people there and you can actually help. So guys, all I can say to you is once again, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope even a little seed was planted for some of you tonight. And yeah, it'll be just a great experience. Thank you, Jackie, for joining me.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much for your time. I know everybody loved this. We're getting all kinds of positive comments, so it's very
Well, I'll
healing.
always come back, Mark. It's nothing. I enjoy doing it. So I come to life when I talk about life after death. So it's part of me. It's part of who I am.
Thank you so much.
And we always unmute everyone so that they can unmute themselves and say thank you and goodbye at the end of the meeting. So if that's possible for everyone to just say thank you to you and to Jackie, we are truly appreciative.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Gordon.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Gordon.
Thank you,
Thank you so much, Gordon.
My
We
pleasure.
appreciate you, Gordon. Thank you, Jackie.
Lovely.
Fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
I loved it.
Yeah, thank you. This was great.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
We'll
Thank
see
you,
later.
Thank
Gordon.
you, Mark and Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Get back